Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the next session of Connecting You Inside. It's a very interesting, intense session because we will talk about digital customer simplification and opportunities related to innovative federative service in maritime and logistics sector with a lot of challenges and opportunities. We will talk about how enabling local supply chain visibility through a digital customer simplification could create new opportunities also using innovative federative services. And this is possible with a lot of innovative solutions and projects that are ongoing, exploiting the potential of automated procedure, interoperability with rail components, intermodal logistic corridor, and all the benefit arising from the implementation of intelligence device, Internet of Things, innovative technology as a blockchain and notarization. This is a very, very important session, a very important topic. So we will share our agenda with our panelists in order to give you a very updated and full of innovative project overview of a situation. With us, there will be some very important speaker. So I share with you the agenda, and after we will start immediately. So we start with Eusebiu, Catana, and Jean-Philippe Machine in order to talk about the Phoenix project. After we go through a very interesting approach and next generation, the vision of a next generation forward from Bottas Pediporto. After we go directly in Morocco in order to hear from Tariq Mouni the concrete experience between the Morocco Agence Nationale des Ports and La Spezia Port. After we have opportunity to go in Irish in order to have a look to the starting new project EFTL. And after we close with a overview from Alexio Picco, that is a consultant of the Camera di Commercio, in order to have an overview about the federative service. So I go directly to the first speaker. So we can start with Eusebiu Catana. Catana is the coordinator of Phoenix and also 5G login project. He's a senior manager in the field of ITS transport and logistics. He is also Alice vice chairman and a member of the TLF steering committee. He holds a PhD in vehicle telematics, a master degree in electronics, and he's also a PMP professional. He started his career in Acuña in Belgium. After he became a technical consultant in research and development for about 20 years in a lot of very important companies and projects around the world. And from 22, he's in Munich. It was awarded as ETS project development platform for IT industry. And arriving to today, he is the coordinator of a very important European project with ERTICO, so Logistics, Phoenix, Concorda, and Lugino. So with him, there will be also Jean-Philippe Machine, that is a civil engineer working for Cerema, involved in ITS from 20 years, and working with him in this important European project, and also in Phoenix Mediterranean pilot site. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce this first important participant, and I'll let you the floor.
Thank you very much, Luca. It's my pleasure to be today with you and to present one of the most important flagship project in the field of transport and logistics, so the Phoenix project that aims to build the future pan-European federated network of platforms. So what about Phoenix? So my presentation will focus on a number of topics related. So what is Phoenix, the strategic principle and future, an overview about the Phoenix architecture, about the interoperability. My colleague Jean-Philippe will focus on the custom use cases, and I will summarize at the end with the Phoenix and our ambitions in order to build the future of logistics. So what is Phoenix? Phoenix is a network of secure data sharing. So we like to build a federation. So this federation will be a new kind of ecosystem where any participant, so we're referring to different platforms, logistic transport and logistic platforms, will be part of this future federation. We'll consider any aspect related to data governance, so rules, regulations, and so on and so on. Regarding the overview, just only I would like to highlight that we like to interconnect all potential transport and logistics platforms. We'll tackle the interoperability, one of the main key success factors in order to build this future federation. The solution will be cloud-based, and the main purpose is to try to overcome today's fragmentation and lack of connectivity around the current ICT-based system and ICT platforms. The project includes 6 main activities. There are involved more than 100 partners in total, so namely 45 beneficiaries and more than 50 implementing bodies and affiliates. There are involved 2 member states, and the project will run for 3 years. Just only an overview to see in which country there are the pilot site. So there are 11 pilot sites in 9 different countries, covering any aspects related to multi and synchronodal transport, intelligent hubs, all 10T corridors, and all 4 motorways of the sea. So federation, it's extremely important to be considered because we'll try to solve, and our aim is to solve the current challenges in the transport and logistics domain at the European level. We'll consider all aspects related to the strategic level, tactical level, and also at delivery levels. We'll focus on the decentralized approach. So Phoenix architecture doesn't rely on any central entity. So all entities, so all platforms will be considered as nodes in this future pan-European architecture, and will have the same rights. Of course, when we consider such challenges, we should take into account that we will build a new kind of ecosystem, so data-driven ecosystem and service-driven ecosystem. Trust. Without trust, we cannot convince any service providers, any service and transport and logistics owners, platform owners, to join our project. So trust is essential for digital services and also for the future federation. Phoenix is a generating platform. It's not granting access to each of the other federated platforms. So it's extremely important to highlight these topics. So just only an overview. So basically, the Phoenix Federation will develop a new infrastructure. So we name as generic connector with 3 main building blocks. So one related to the identity management to ensure identity of the participants. The second important building block is related to data exchange. And the last but not least, the broker module that will include the distributed catalog of services across of the federation. So how it works in practice. So basically, different platforms, so platform A, B, C, and so on. We have notified in Europe more than 124 different platforms that includes transport and logistics services. So in Phoenix, we'll integrate around 24. So it depends how fast we'll move the pilot sites, but our aim is to federate at least 1 platform per pilot site. So all platforms will develop and integrate their own connector according to the Phoenix specifications. We'll consider the design principle and governance. So we'll consider the decentralization and the ecosystem of data and services trustworthy and data sovereignty as central of our requirements. So such a federation, if we don't implement different interoperabilities level, will not work. So first of all, we should consider all the key technical interoperabilities specifications, because these will allow several data platforms to connect to each other in the same way and to consume and exchange data in a common way. Now I kindly invite Jean-Philippe to give an overview of the Mediterranean pilot site focused on custom and dangerous goods. Jean-Philippe?
Thank you, Eusebiu. So as you know, Marseille is a big harbor on the Mediterranean Sea, and this pilot is the link between maritime and inland transport. And in inland transport, we have and a lot of dangerous goods are passing through this port to exchange these goods with the rest of the world, if I can say. So inland transport is based for dangerous goods on the regulation managed at with a level of 55 countries, which are coordinating the regulation. For road is ADR, for rail is RFID, and for waterway is ADM. And this regulation took some years ago, more than 10 years, 20 years ago, the capability to have electronic document instead paper. But due to the fact that in this 5.4, it's written that the electronic document must have the same power than paper document, until now, it's very difficult to have electronic document. And that is what we will demonstrate in Phoenix, based on an architecture which was defined and by this working group on telematic, based on this UNECE regulation. And so we have as basis these guidelines, which are available on the website on UNECE if you want to have a look on it. So next slide, please. The coverage of the regulation, I made a simplified schema in order to understand that we have the view of the custom, we have the view of regulation for the transport, inland transport, in also a certain part of dangerous goods are waste, and you have another regulation for waste. So from the production of the product to the final disposal, you have several stages. You sail the product, you transport it by maritime on air, it enter in the EU border, in EU countries, and in the EU country, you have several transport modes to finally deliver the product at the place where it's waiting for. So by consignee use it, and then it's the end of the life, if I can say, of this product, of these dangerous goods, and they have to be recycled or recovered or disposal. And as you see, custom as a part of the view when the sale is done, when the delivery is finished, when the new product is sold, and in between are the tax for which country are there to be paid, and so on. Then for dangerous goods, we have a limited part because it's during the transport inside the inland transport. And for waste, it's for the beginning, when you produce the first dangerous goods, you have to think to the prevention. But after, when it's become waste, you have to look how to prepare the reuse, recycling, recovery, or disposal. And so that make the vision with the EFT, because EFT is covering part of each of this regulation. Next slide, please. And that is something we have to take into account. We have, for the dangerous goods transport, we have a main role given by a carrier. Carrier must provide the information in paper form or in an electronic form. And that was the vision of the telematic working group, is to provide a way to exchange data between administration and custom with private actors. So consignor has to declare what is he will sell to. So I will just finish this comment, and thank you. So the carrier, when he will provide the information in an electronic form, must have the guarantee that this electronic form could be accessible by all administration which are involved. And custom, perhaps, but not only custom, police, emergency responder in case of incident or accident, and perhaps more traffic manager, and so on. Or therefore, either you know all the people who can access and manage its own connection with each of them, either he trusts someone to say, I give you my information, and if someone who has the right, so some from administration, from authority will access, then you give access to the data. And to avoid that, the content manager, which is a trusted party for the carrier, has also to manage all the link with all the authority of the 55 countries involved in the regulation, then this content manager make a link, a connection with an access provider, which is the trusted party for authorities, for administration, and manage and guarantee that the requests coming through this access manager are really from authority. So that we can go to the next, yes. And in case of accident, an external provider, other fire brigades or police, and in case of control by customs, they have capability to access the data, but they must provide at least one information, which is an ID for which makes the link with the carrier, and that is an ID for a road vehicle, its plate number or VIN, if the VIN is available, or they can also, if it's rail, provide the ID of the wagon, which is unique, which train and at which place is the wagon in the train, or they can also provide for a vessel for waterway the ID of the vessel. And if we have a container, they can also provide the beak. And with that, this request will be transmitted from the authority to the access provider, which access provider look if a transport was declared with this transport unit, then he can find the content manager and request the data. And the content manager know who is requesting what, so fire brigades, police, custom, and for which reason they are requesting that. So we see that we have the data sovereignty is guaranteed because the data are at the level of the content manager is not, and is the trusted party for the carrier. So no one else knows that. The access provider know only the list of vehicle or transport units which are transporting at the time dangerous goods, that is for dangerous goods in this case. And the access provider makes a link with the content manager address. And because he knows who is requesting, and that is the trusted part, the trust we have in this system, because he can trust that is really fire brigade or police, because it's an exchange of certificates between the access provider and authority who guarantee that the link is not someone else requesting the data. And what we are doing in Phoenix PilotSat is implementing that, but also we add another part with the CITS, so cooperative ITS, because that will offer the capability to use the community system of the harbor, CI5, which is in place in the harbor of Marseille. And this system, so this CITS, makes that when the transport began, the driver put on its own CITS onboard unit one information: I am now transporting dangerous goods. And during the transport, sorry, can you go back just before? During the transport, this onboard unit emits a message every seconds to say, this vehicle is transporting dangerous goods. When it arrives near the port gate is equipped with a roadside unit, and this roadside unit receives the message from the vehicle, and he sees that a vehicle is arriving, a truck is arriving transporting dangerous goods, and he can transmit to the port of Marseille that this VIN is arriving at the door. And so the port of Marseille, the system of the port of Marseille, can access to the access provider, request, please, can you give me the description of the dangerous goods? And because before the transport, it was given by the freight forwarder or by the consignor to the community system of the port of Marseille, then they can compare that what is entering or going out is what was declared. And so custom can be alert that the transport is arriving at the harbor or leaving the harbor. And so they can also manage some kind of control they have to manage. So that is an easy way to have a monitoring of what happened. And that make also the system very easy to use for the driver, for all actors involved in this transport chain. So as you see, the principle of this architecture are putting in place a security with encrypted exchange and double authentication and certificates. And if a certificate will be revoked because someone acted, by example, then on the system can look at OTIF or UNESC base in order to look which certificates are valid or not, in order to avoid requests.
Jean-Philippe, please,
yes?
if you can complete your presentation, so we have a time also for others. Thank you.
So thank you. That was the final slide. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Jean-Philippe. So you have seen just only one example for the Phoenix use cases, but please imagine in Phoenix there will be implemented several hundreds of use cases. So in order to finalize our let's say approach, so we are extremely ambitious, and we aim to build the future of logistics. So trust, it's very, very important. Without trust, it's not possible to attract other platform owners in order to connect to the Phoenix Federation. So we'll build a new ecosystem of data. Interoperability is very important. From the service provider point of view, new adding apps will be also important to be developed, deployed, and implemented. So as I mentioned before, so a new type of data market, so data-driven services will be implemented. And last but not least, if we like to achieve the CO2 targets emission, we should build a new type of ecosystem. So we should change the current ecosystem, and we have the ambition to, and we can say that Phoenix will build a new ICT infrastructure as backbone in order to support the operation in the future physical internet networks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a very interesting approach. It's a very ambitious project that is ongoing, but it's really concrete. So it will be a pleasure with you to check again the result in some months in order to touch together the result of this kind of approach. So thank you again. And we go now to Gianpaolo Botta, that is next speaker. He is the general manager of Spediporto, the most representative maritime freight forwarder association in Italy. More than 330 companies and more than 11,000 employees and more than 3 billion euro of total turnover. So a very important association in Italy. He's also CEO of Telematica, involved in a lot of PCS development, and also CEO of Spedi Service, involved in the automation of a terminal gate of Port of Genoa. And more than all, he is a person that a lot of time try to anticipate the future. That is one of the things that I like more in Gianpaolo. So I'll let you the floor, simplification and data sharing for the next generation forward. It's your time.
So thank you very much, Luca, for your introducing me, and of course, thank you for having me today. It's a very important occasion for me to try to put your attention in some topics that are very important, not only for Spediporto, but I think for all the Italian community and logistic community. So we started with some consideration related with where we are in Italy regarding the item of this events, simplification and data sharing. So the transition toward digitization for custom procedures in maritime transport began, as you know, in October 2010 with the directive 2010/65 and then called RDF, reporting formalities and directive. Its aims was to simplify maritime administrative procedures and, of course, the electronic information services with the participation of all national maritime administration, but not only administration, transport professional, association, custom and border control to help to define the single window in practice. So, but something going wrong in this time, because the use of paper, for example, still existed at over 50% of the ports. Am I talking something that we regard the 2016, so 6, 10, 8 years later? The single window so was only available in a few countries in Europe, and the harmonization through custom agency haven't made significant progress. The implementation of national single window so was different in each country, and it's incredible, but it's so. So now we have another chance. We have the opportunity to follow the new European Maritime Agreement, and the goal for all the EU members could be only one: the simplification and more efficient system supply chain, and we have a time to arrive it in 2025. So I try to made some consideration regarding what and why the Italian ports are out of the top of the 10 ports. In the recent survey made by Spediporto, we have counted for different very interesting things. So for example, we have a lot of digital platform in Italy. For example, PMIS, the Port Management Information System of Coast Guard. We have AIDA, the Custom Management System for Excise and Duty. Trovatore, Smart Terminal, another custom management system for tracing in advance the ship. We have Traces MT, for example, a EU system for tracing agri-food and sanitary and phytosanitary control. We have also PLN, the national platform for logistics. For example, we have in different ports, single port community system. My question is, where are simplification? We have a lot of platform. We have powerful platform, but for a great part of that platform, we have the right connection and a good sharing of data. This is a very big problem, not only for Italy and for Genoa, but I think for a lot of countries in Europe. But if we go to analyze a specific problem related with the port of Genova, we can see some big problem that we have in Italy. For example, in a recent survey made by Spiriport, we have counted, for example, that in PA we have more than 68 different documents for importing and exporting goods. But not only this, we have to manage more than 1,050 different kinds of data. Not yet information, but only data. And listening up to 70 different controls on the same shipment. This is a problem because where's the sharing data in this case? So as we say, we have a lot of questions open, and we have to try to find the solution to go and to try to go over. So where we want to be, of course, the Italian ports want to be in the top 5 EU ports for simplification, infrastructure, data sharing, and smart technology. But what we need in this slide, it's necessary, we try to show that it's necessary to underline that where the country decide to operate a real investment in infrastructure, simplification, technology, and sharing data, the process of growing, for example, Rotterdam, Antwerp, the only European port with positive number in the 2020 under pandemic era, and Hamburg, other make all very interesting things to consider related with the sharing data. In each of these ports, we have an operating PCS with real simplification and customs and procedures available 24/7. We have another things to consider that we don't forget at the same time that in Rotterdam we have port base, in Hamburg Dacosi, in Antwerp Nexport, in Barcelona Portic, and these are all very advanced and integrated port community system. And so this is very challenging for us. Try the solution to create a national platform in which all the actors of the logistic can find themselves, that can cooperate to sharing data and to create better service for the market. This is the biggest challenge that we have to win in the next future. But how we can build it? The real simplification pass through a process of harmonization, digitization, but also need a real cut of bureaucracy. This is the great goal that we have to arrive all. Please don't forget what I have seen before, 68 different documents, 1,050 data, and 70 different kinds of control in import-export in the case of Italy. Another very important topic is the rule, for example, of investment in infrastructure, hardware and software. And this is, for me, it's very important to underline what we have done in Genoa Port, where an important choice, we decide to invest a lot of monies for in the next future with 2.6 billion euro in the next year for improving infrastructure and technology. And similar choice was done in the past by the port of Rotterdam, Antwerp, Hamburg, and Barcelona. This is very important because that means that all the great ports in Europe have the same vision of the future, and the vision that we have to follow is related with the simplification, first of all, bureaucracy, and then, of course, try the right tools to sharing data and to create a right ecosystem of operators that can help Italy to grow faster and to become a point of reference for all the international community and logistic providers in the world. But so in this context, we have another slide that show clearly the consequence and effects of a wrong strategic decision in the past, and how much this condition can penalize the Italian company in the international market, where from long time items as infrastructure, real simplification and digitalization lead the strategy policy of the country. And of course, for me, it's clear that one country that won't win the match, that won't win the future of the challenging future, needs to create all the necessary condition. And so we have to try to win our game try to cut off and to create a better, to cut off the bureaucracy and to create the better condition for the operators. So I want to pass to the my last slide, in which I want to introduce you one project that it's very important for Sped Department, not for us, but for all the community of operators and for our territory. The name of the project is Green Logistic Valley, and where is in Valpolcevera Valley, a valley very close to the port of Genova. And if we want to, and we want with this project change the situation. We want to have a good project that looks to the future based on solid elements, and we need to have a clear vision about the future to build it up. And so for this reason we have selected Valpolcevera, because we know that here we can find good intermodal connectivity, sea and land, sea and track, good data connection with 5G. For example, we will have here the 5G BlueMed project. We can also have there the first logistics simplified zone in the northwest of Italy, an initiative by Port Authority in Genova City and Liguria region. We also have there 2 million square meters open to be used for logistic providers, and also all the area is under the control of PCF Port of Genova, that I want to remind you is the first in Italy for data sharing. And last but not least, a very important point is regarding the 4.5 billion euro that will be invested by the 2026 for a lot of very important projects that have the Port of Genova as the center of their interest. But for create all the right condition to improve and to growing very fast, we want to put there another point that is related with the port corridor, with custom simplification. One inland, one port that cross all the ports, the old ports and the new ports, and one inland corridors integrated with the ZLS. So simplification, custom simplification, the right space for logistic providers, sharing data with 5G, and the introduction of new technology as IoT, big data, and all the more advanced smart technology can be built there thanks to the 5G that will arrive in the next month. So this is for us the goal for the future that we want to put in our next years, and I'm confident that with the help of public administration, and we, of course, with all the big players that we have in Genova, not only logistic provider, but companies involved in the business of ICT, we can realize something of unique in Italy, but probably unique in the center of Europe. And we want to win this challenge. We want to arrive to create the first logistic free trade zone in the northwest west of Italy. That's all, and thank you for your attention. And of course, I'm here for your questions.
Thank you very much, Gianpaolo. I think that the vision and the concrete project of the Green Logistic Valley project is one of the most interesting things approaching next year, considering also next generation EU exploitation, as you told. So it will be sure a topic in which we will come back, I hope, in a very short time, in order to talk about concretely about the project and the idea. Thank you again. So we can go on to the next speaker, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce Tariq Maouni, that is the Director of Organization and Information System and of Agence Nationale des Ports. He has successful experiences in direct transformation project, optimizing process, managing team and contracts with suppliers in companies, private and public, in finance and transport and logistic sector. He's passionate about the work and always ready to take on new challenges. and a lot of energy committed at the service of the port and logistic and maritime community. Now he is the CIO of Agence Nationale des Ports in Morocco, and more than all, it was a pleasure to share with him in the last 3 years a lot of ideas and concrete projects in order to create international fast and secure corridor among the Mediterranean area, and specifically in this case between the port of Casablanca and the port of La Spezia. So I let you the floor, Tariq, and it's a pleasure to share again an event with you.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me too to be part of this initiative, and I congratulate Luca and his team for organizing this special meeting. I think the subject is very interesting, and we have worked a few years during the last few years on this kind of subject about simplification, about custom optimization, and I will try to present a project that we have started from 2 years ago, and we are still ongoing process, which is quite a long time for us. But we have, I will explain. We have discovered some kind of difficulty, and I think we are facing all ports are facing quite the same, well, let's say, hurdle or problems, which have conducted to a certain delay about interconnecting ports and giving services to our client customers in terms of import or export services. So maybe, Luca, I can share the
yes, please do it.
Hello, Mr. Tariq. You can share. Okay, now we are waiting for the presentation. Okay, we can see. Good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So the name of the project is International Fast and Secure Corridor. Why international? Because we have already a very modern port community system and single windows in Morocco, which name is Portnet, which have enabled us to connect all the network of companies here in Morocco to work together and to exchange information in real time for the process of import goods or export goods. So it's very good, but the problem is that when our companies are going abroad, they need to comply to other formalities, and there is no connection between us and other countries until now, and so it's quite a pity, and we are trying to do something about it. It's the International Fast and Trade and Secure Corridors, but we will see why, because we are associated with the customs on this initiative. And I take this opportunity to thank the Port of La Spezia, which is our partner in this initiative, and the Port of Casablanca, of course. So maybe we can go ahead. So the project is inside the Phoenix initiative, and we are part of this initiative, and we congratulate also the Phoenix team to have organized it. But the thing is that we are not completely integrated in the Phoenix project, because the European project are connecting European countries between them, but are not connecting, like they say, neighboring countries. So I think it's something that we could improve, because we need to discuss the way we are exchanging information, data, and procedure between Morocco and the other countries. Thank you. Okay, so The main actors of the project are, first of all, the port of Casablanca, which is in the center of Morocco, and the port of La Spezia in Italy. And we are different partner with us, the Taurus shipping and industry, and Circle, of course, and ERTICO, which is part of the European Union. And in this project, we have defined some phase. The first phase is to find a way to exchange information between the port of La Spezia and Casablanca. So we have quite find a way to do that, and to exchange data between actors involved in the logistic corridor. We will see exactly how it works. So the objective of the pilot phase first is to automated security check on seal integrity and container code recognition, because we have seen that there is some sort of needs of securing the container, and the e-seals, the technology of e-seals seems for us very interesting, and we are trying to spread it among our users, our business companies, so that they could be able to transport their goods with all the safety needed. And of course, it's an advantage towards the customs, as they can prove that their container has not been opened during the transport phase. Also, the objective is to reduce the dwell time in port areas and transit time along land routes. So it's optimizing the time, very important. And during this pilot project, we are experimenting different way of exchanging data between our single window, which is PortNet, and the European ports via the platforms like the platform of Circles or others. And we are exchanging e-seals and data from the manifest. But this pilot project is inside the global strategy, which is the objective of this strategy is to find a way to do some mutual recognition between port authority and authority in general from Morocco side and from European Union. For example, between customs, we are working on that, but also between sanitary agency or between other authority that are needed to exchange information. So the first objective is to simplify and complete the flows. The second, which is very important, harmonize. Because why harmonize? Because we are doing this with the Italian ports, but we want to be replicable with other ports. We need to do a work which is useful not only for one port but multiple. So harmonization is very important. And we are experimenting technologies like IoT and blockchain during this experience. So the general description of the process is that there is on the left the Moroccan side, on the right the European side, and on the left all the exchange of information are done via the single windows of trade, of external trade PortNet, which communicate with all the actors of our ecosystem in Morocco and manage the port terminals, the gate in, gate out until the final destination. And on the other side, there is a gateway of the European Union. For the moment, it's in Italy. And the idea is to give the opportunity for our business companies to see to be able to to see where the container is and what are the status of the ECLs and other information that are onboarded in the flow. The roadmap is quite clear, and we have 3 levels of development. The first is to cooperate between private actors and to do some exchange of information between them. The second is to associate the business partners, in general, all the community, shippers and other actors of the logistics chain. And the aim is to integrate the custom procedures. And we have a discussion between our customs in Morocco and Italian customs to define this interoperability of exchange of information. And we hope that it will succeed. But I must say that it takes a long time, and we hope that we will find new ways to cooperate with the European Union in that kind of exchange of information, because it's very important for our business in Morocco. Thank you very much, Luca, for your for this meeting, and I will stop my presentation.
Thank you very much, Tariq. It's absolutely a pleasure to see that the ongoing pilot is arriving to the focal point, so to start a concrete operation of a pilot and to test concretely the interoperability about the security, about customs information, and about the simplification related. So I really hope to touch with you in the next month the concrete result of the activities that are ongoing. And we thanks also Federica Montaresi from part of La Spezia that is following with you and with us this kind of activity. So thank you very much. So we can go to the next speech, and it's a pleasure to introduce Paul Brostel, that is European Policy and Funding Advisor at their Irish Maritime Development Office. He has 20 years of experience in maritime and offshore naval sector and of energy. He is responsible for supporting the work of the IMDO on the development of the Irish shipping and shipping service industry. The IMDO is the governmental agency responsible for providing policy analysis and advice on the maritime sector to the Department of Transport in Ireland. And it's absolutely a pleasure to invite you here to share with you, with all of us, the International Fast and Secure Trade Lane and new project, improving the Dublin-Cherbourg motorways of the sea route and the overall maritime connectivity in the Atlantic and North Sea basin. So the floor is yours, and we wait for your speech.
Thank you, Luca, and good afternoon, everybody. It's great to have an opportunity to present an initiative that we are coordinating on digitalization in Ireland's maritime transport sector. For those of you that don't know, the Irish Maritime Development Office is a government agency. We report to the Minister of Transport and provide economic and business development services to our ports and shipping sector. And in this regard, we have a mandate to support the development of our entire maritime shipping sector. And we are, in this particular project, coordinating the project on behalf of 2 key partners initially, Dublin Port and the ports of Normandy, where Cherbourg is the main port that we were interested in the connection to. Dublin Port, as many of you may know, is Ireland's largest port. It's on the core network and the largest port for unitized trade to GB and to the EU, be that with ro-ro services and lo-lo services. But obviously our connectivity relies on other ports in this area, Rosslare on the southwest coast and Cork on the south coast, where again we have some ro-ro services and lo-lo services And in recent times, driven by Brexit primarily, we are seeing changes to these traffic patterns, and that in many ways is a driver for this project. The Cherbourg in the port, one of the ports of Normandy, is on the comprehensive network, as you know, and is one of the main destinations for rural traffic from Ireland, but also has vital connections to GB as well for their region and for that connectivity piece. So in many ways, the motivation for the project, I suppose initially, is about improving the efficiency on routes from Ireland, to and from Ireland and France. And it comes as no surprise, as one of the big drivers to this was the disruption caused by Brexit. And I suppose essentially both Irish ports and French ports have had several meetings and workshops over the last number of years, where our focus has been on how we mitigate the effects of the new trading arrangements with the UK. But there are also wider applications to other EU routes and connectivity with non-EU countries. Indeed, Tariq's presentation was an inspiration for the work that we've started, and I think there are lots of areas where we can cooperate and share expertise over the next number of years, ultimately improve the connectivity of our European ports. I suppose in this regard, the Dublin Cherbourg route, which is operated by Irish Ferries, is an ideal starting point, or we felt it was an ideal starting point for this initiative. So I think Tariq explained many of the concepts of a fast trade lane, or a fast and secure trade lane. And given the importance of our connectivity from Ireland and France, we know it is essential that all logistic actors need streamlined processes, interoperable systems, accurate real-time data, and I suppose a key component is a clear operational and governance model. And this will be provided through the IFSTL concept that ultimately will improve multimodal coordination by removing bottlenecks such as paperwork that are required, and we've heard some experiences of that from Giampaolo earlier. Channeling these processes through IT platforms such as Fenix, contributing to increased efficiency, quality of service, and ease of use will be important. Providing advanced information services for the management of freight transport, is required by the whole logistics industry. And ultimately be a single interface to shorten the time in decision making. For example, resolving incidents in real time, and we've seen some examples of that. Cross-border, non-EU connections, and essentially shortening the length of stay of the goods at the port. So as I said, there is a global ambition with the project that links into other projects like the one Tariq mentioned, and it's all about improving the connectivity and efficiency of routes. Our interest is between Ireland and our trading partners, with Europe primarily, but the UK is still a very large trading partner for Ireland, for France, and many other EU member states, and it's going to be important over the next number of years to make sure we're almost going in the opposite direction to Tariq, where Tariq's project is looking at improving the connectivity and creating new connections. We had good connections, and we know that now that the new trade arrangements mean that we have to do some work to try and bring them back up to the efficient levels that they were operating in. So ultimately, this is going to be a staged process, and our starting point, as we said, is this mature study on the Dublin Cherbourg route. Our focus throughout this work will be not just the application to that route, but also the application to other modes and other routes. So instead of just Ro-Ro, we've obviously got Lo-Lo as a very large traffic volumes from Ireland, and also the links to GB that are going to remain very important, both from Ireland's point of view and France's point of view. I think it's also important that we have a core port in Dublin and a comprehensive port in Cherbourg. in that, you know, the digitalization requirements are not only applicable to our very large ports, that we realize that all ports throughout Europe, you know, have opportunities to improve the efficiency of what they do, which will only benefit trade across all our regions. The connectivity between Ireland and France has grown significantly in response to Brexit, essentially a demand for new direct services. And I suppose traditionally, the land bridge option through the UK, there are always concerns that there may be difficulties with it. So, you know, having these additional routes and direct services is important, although connectivity with GB will remain very important for Ireland and countries throughout the wider EU. Essentially, improving the efficiency of all the modes and routes is critical to support the growth of our economies, and that's the what underpins all our work in this area. We know the role that our ports and shipping sector play in maintaining the economies in all the regions, and ensuring seamless connectivity throughout the single market, and indeed with non-EU countries, as Tariq has highlighted, is going to remain a priority for all our areas. So our project aims to contribute to achieving these ambitions. Our role as a development office, we're focused on supporting our ports and maritime industry to deliver competitive and resilient transport options for importers and exporters. And I say we see this project as a priority in that task. So I hope this provides an introduction to the initiative, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Paul. It was absolutely interesting, the summary and the approach. After we will come back in the Q&A session, because I think that there will be question for you. Thank you in the meanwhile. So we, last but not least, we arrived to the last presentation. It's a pleasure for me to introduce Alexio Picco, even if today with a different situation and role. Today is a consultant of the Camera del Commercio delle Riviere Liguri, and he will talk about federative service, a flexible and modular approach toward an easier digital interoperability. So the floor is yours, Alex.
Thanks a lot, Luca, and good afternoon, everybody. Yes, now I'm a little bit in a different role today. I have the pleasure to present you some outcomes of another EU project called EasyLog that is also engaged in the Regional Chamber of Commerce and a number of ports and logistics players here in our Liguria region. And I thought it was important to present this because it is quite complementary to what presented already in terms of the concept, so the federation of systems, and in terms of, let's say, of the digital interoperability, making with, let's say, easy connection, making a great step in terms of benefit for the logistic operator. Just a couple of examples. Some of them have been are implemented, are going to be implemented in EasyLog in these days. Some example for shippers, for instance, it could be crucial for shippers to have some, let's say, documents, pre-advanced documents for custom procedures. We have just seen some examples that are included in the IFSTL concept, meaning that the microservices are a tool, and that could be one of the tools of the IFSTL concept. And we have been also listening, if I'm not wrong, Gianpaolo, that was elaborating on the phytosanitary certificate that, you know, is still a document that is needed on paper. Whilst in this respect, we can anticipate a digital copy that is still not valid as a digital document, but is a step before being valid also as the digital copy. And the phytosanitary certificate is also accompanied by another kind of similar certificate that is called EUR1 certificate. Some examples could be mentioned for the freight forwarders. this is an architecture, let's say, an overall architecture about the so-called freight rates federative platform, meaning that using a number of different information available through, let's say, aggregators, specific aggregators. This is the example of Intra that you know is providing a number of information for deep sea container, and also connecting in digital way the other transport operators, such as the combined transport operator, the shipping lines, the transport companies. We can manage the so-called freight rates and to be used by the freight forwarders in order to make the best choice for assigning the transport. This is also, let's say, embedding some innovation in some part of it, and specifically the so-called triangulation algorithm that is used to connect the different loading and unloading segment of the chain using the same truck. This is again another example of federative services in which connecting in a digital way the freight forwarders through a software, the multimodal transport operator through their own software. They can have the possibility to exchange specific information on which the best truck use in terms of the final mile, first or last mile, depending the way in which you see the chain. And this is through an algorithm that is analyzing a big amount of data and can suggest to the forwarder and then, of course, to the multimodal transport operator the best truck to be used, depending not only on the costs, because, of course, this is still one of the main criteria to be used, but also with other criteria such as the reliability of the truck, even the environmental sustainability. If we collect let's say the feature of the truck they are using, we can then play with the best solution depending the weight of the different criteria you are going to use, including, of course, the price list, and directly managing then the booking of the truck. This is what I told you before, that is the triangulation, meaning that for using the same truck to load a container to be, for instance, to bring a container to be loaded on a train, and with the same truck to use to unload another one from a train and send it to the final destination. One other microservice and federative service that is quite much important, and it could be an example as one of the tools for the international fastest security train lane, is so-called semantic automation, using specific recognition of the semantics of the paper documents. You could digitalize them. The FITO certificate is an example, or Euro 1 is an example. So having some examples of how it is semantically structured, the document, you can recognize and understand the meaning of what is inside and make this digital, transform the paper information in a real digital one. And this, you can imagine when you have a number of paper documents still to manage, that this could make an enormous difference in terms of effectiveness and costs. And another example of this federation of services to make new functionalities is the environmental calculation model. This could again used by freight forwarders or multimodal transport combined transport operator, that or meaning someone that have to manage a multimodal transport chain, and making this interoperable in digital interoperability with specific software that most of them on the market of the shelf. You could have also the environmental impact of the different choices, and you could use them, or you could also in a way certify to the customers of the freight forwarders, to the customer, or even to the final customer. You could certify the environmental impact of the choice, and this is something that step by step is more required from the market. By the market, because it is required by the final customer, even in the B2C environment, by the final customer, meaning us, meaning the citizens, is a step that is step by step going from the citizen to the provider, to the industry, let's say, to the supply chain and to the industry. Similarly, there are a number of examples of these microservices and federative services for terminals. A very smart example is the so-called notarization. The notarization process is a process for a digital process that makes valid a single document. A single document is made valid for all the different parties involved in a specific exchange of information through also a blockchain, underlying blockchain technology. And this is, for instance, one example is the interchange, meaning the document that is needed in a terminal to for the gating in and gating out operations of a truck and cargo and the related cargo. And this could be done in a way that the document is, let's say, digitally certified by the different actors, and it could be used digitally, let's say, avoiding a number of issues that are typically coming in when the document is in paper form. For the multimodal transport operator, meaning the combined transport operator, it's more or less what we discussed already, meaning that we could have the best tracker solution and the triangulation for choosing the best track, but also exchange information with the other environment in terms of railway operators, railway undertakings, railway infrastructure manager, to have information in terms of the operation of the network. This is something that we have seen already, and I'm at the end. So thank you very much for the time. And my intention was just to give some snapshots of the EasyLog project and of some of those microservices have been implemented in this project, and they are quite, let's say, complementary and quite useful for the IFSTL concept that we have just seen a little bit before. Thank you very much for inviting the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Alexio. So we arrived to the end. So I ask to all the speakers to open microphone and the camera in order to have a final question and answer session. I start from a question that is focused on the Irish pilot and activities. So please, Paul, help me to reply. There are two topics. One is related to the study, and that appears to focus, first of all, in Dublin, Cherbourg, and why was this selected, and how does this help expansion on to other routes? And the second is related about timing and the next step, so which will be steps and timing. Thank you.
Thanks, Luca. Obviously, there were lots of engagement with Irish and French ports over this last number of years. We are all aware that the trading arrangement with the UK, there was always likely to be some disruption. So we were going to be as well prepared as we could. And, you know, finding a starting point, I think, was probably one of the most difficult things. I think when we you know, ended up, I mean, we could have picked a number of ports and a number of destinations. Obviously, Rosslare and Cherbourg is a very important route and has grown significantly in recent months. But they're both two comprehensive ports. And, you know, for the Motorways of the Sea program, we had to find a mix of core and comprehensive. And Dublin and Cherbourg, I think, was a natural fit. And for us, they have everything that we need to begin the study and begin the project, but also to lead, to answer your second question, to sort of prepare the way for the follow-on, because both ports have very important routes with the UK, and we want those routes. So the solutions that we develop on Dublin, Cherbourg, both ports will be fully aware that these systems will need to apply and address trade with the UK. So that's, I suppose, essentially where we arrived at it, and that feeds into the next steps. That obviously we can't in the study, we won't have the scope to deal with all the processes. So, but I think, as you've seen in some of the other projects, we'll be identifying the areas where the business case is really strong, you know, where the sort of efficiencies that can be realized will fully justify, you know, a much bigger investment in these new types of digital services. And I think it's like that, and we're seeing, you know, some good examples in a lot of the other projects presented today, that once you begin to make progress and other, you know, processes become more aware of the benefits and the commercial and financial gain from implementing these new technologies, then you know, ultimately we would envisage the scale up and rollout of these solutions to, once they gather their own momentum, that they will follow after we start.
Thank you very much. It's a really interesting approach, and we really wait for the result of the next step. And so coming back to that is not Eusebiu, so Jean-Philippe, about your presentation and how Phoenix might concretely contribute to the future of logistics, and how this federative approach could help the business, talking about the complexity of a logistic chain. You have a microphone, okay.
Thank you, sorry. I think that the approach of Phoenix is also to put with the background of the arrival of the EFT and the work done in DTLF with this to provide some specification for this directive, directive for the electronic freight transport information is a background to such deployment, because in a few years all actors who want to have electronic document, provide the electronic document, would be able to do that, because all European countries has to take into account that electronic document have to be taken by all administration. And so this approach with the federation is a way to connect all existing platform, as Eusebiu explained, and with the capability to share data without spreading data, if I can say. Many of the actors want to be to have the data ownership and data sovereignty, and so that is a reason to not share data with others. But with the approach of Phoenix, they have the guarantee that the ownership is guaranteed. They have the guarantee for the ownership, and so they are able to transmit that through this federation. And so by making trust and data sovereignty a basis for the exchange, then actors will go ahead with what they already do with their own network, because many electronic exchange are already in a business area, but they have to provide form in paper only for administration, and that was explained by for some kind of document. Moving the capability for administration to accept electronic form make people, actors, trusty to move ahead and to spread the data, to exchange the data.
Thank you very much. There is also a question for you, Tariq, and which is, considering Morocco and Europe, the main focus from Morocco point of view in order to arrive to simplify some custom or security or control procedure.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you very much for the question. Indeed, we have a real subject concerning exchange of information between Morocco authorities and European Union authorities, because until now we don't have very fluent exchange. It's already complicated to exchange this kind of information concerning trades, international trade, and that is a very real hurdle, for a real handicap for the companies when they have to bring their physical documents to European Union or other countries, not only European Union. It's like they are needing to prove the trust. I hear many times Jean-Philippe speaking about trust. It's very important to set up this trust between public authorities, and especially between international public authorities, because you are inside European Union. It's quite easier to exchange information, but the capacity to exchange with other countries seems to me very strategic, even for European Union, because it's the best way to standardize, harmonize information. For example, there is some kind of document that are normalized in European Union for EUR1 or etc., but they are not always defined at international level, which means that we have to repeat it. We do the document in Morocco and we repeat the same formality in European Union, and it's not a very efficient way to work together. And we hope that we will find an opportunity to improve this process. And we have started with the Italian customs, and I thank them for that. It's very interesting, but we hope that we could do it with other countries as well. Thank you very much, Luca.
Thank you very much, Tariq. So just a last consideration, and after, if there are not additional questions, I think we can complete the session. I was reading yesterday a pitch book about investment in the supply chain startup and new activities from technological perspective. And the last quarter, in 3 months, there were invested more than $4 billion only in startup and new activity in the supply chain sector. So I think that the disruption that was probably accelerated by the pandemic problem created a lot of interest around this sector. So there are a lot of missing link or missing optimization in the real logistic market, but also a lot of additional experience and new investment and new opportunities. So I think it's a very interesting moment from this point of view, thinking about the private perspective, but also from public European and Mediterranean, obviously, perspective. So I think next month will be very, very important from this point of view, because perhaps in this moment, technology is also too much advanced for the way the people and the organization of a logistic chain could use them. So probably the main topic is an organizational and capacity to create real interoperability standard, not a technological topic. So if anyone of you don't want to add something, I sincerely thanks a lot all of you for the participation. I hope that for all participants could be a very interesting session, and I thank you very much. Alex, I don't know if you want to launch some next step.
Thank you, Luca. Yes, we have still 1 day to go for our spring edition of the Insights. Tomorrow we have 2 interesting things, I think. One is a so-called information day on funding for transport and logistics, port transport and logistics. So we are going to have, let's say, an overview of the Future Horizon Europe and CEF programs, but also some I think it could be interesting also maybe for you, Tariq, if you can join, because and to follow, because we will have a policy officer from DG NEAR, that is the side of the Commission that is supporting the extension to neighboring countries. And I've been already talking with DG NEAR about the support that non-European countries should have, exactly in what you were asking before. So, and we will have also the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in this respect, for examples to projects exactly funded on non-European countries. So we have this info day tomorrow, and we have a very exciting interview with the new president of the ports of Rome, Pino Musolino, coming from Venice to Rome. And it's talking about, again, innovation and the role of ports as energy hub. So don't miss this. And of course, everything will be available later on our digital channels. And so we'll be happy to share future thoughts. And thank you also from my side to all the participants and speakers. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.